सुख सारे।
Please give a warm welcome to internationally renowned Indian singer, Vani Jairam. Now, please welcome your MC and a member of the World Food Prize Council of Advisors, Robert Havener.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's an honor for me to welcome you to the 12th Annual World Food Prize Celebration and Award Ceremony. I trust you know that the World Food Prize is the highest individual award designed to honor those who have made an outstanding contribution toward improving the quality, quantity, and availability of food for the peoples of the world. As I listened to that wonderful Indian music provided by Vani Jairam and her group, I was reminded of the tremendous effort which was required to bring about the so-called Green Revolution on the Indian subcontinent in the mid-1960s. This epic forms a major backdrop against which the World Food Prize was born. This year, we have added something very special indeed to enhance the ambiance of the celebration. It's right here behind me. This spectacular backdrop, which so beautifully conveys the complexity of Indian agriculture and the life work of this year's laureate, was created by the faculty members and students of the College of Art and Design at Iowa State University. May I present to you Professor Brenda Jones and John Weinkind and their student colleagues who made these lovely paintings. This backdrop will travel throughout the world over the next 12 months. Displayed in airports and other prominent public places, it will call attention to the objectives of the World Food Prize and the achievements of this year's laureate. Thank you again for a job well done. For a moment, let's assume you want to talk to a world food leader in agriculture. Well, chances are you're seated right next to one, right here in the Des Moines Civic Center. May I present to you only a few of our very distinguished guests. First, we are honored that a number of our prior year's laureates have joined us for this occasion. May I present them to you. First, Dr. Robert Chandler, the recipient in 1988. Dr. Chandler, please rise. Mr. Ha Kong, the former Minister of Agriculture from the People's Republic of China, 1993. Dr. Hans Heron, 1995. Dr. Hank Beechel, 1996. And Dr. Perry Atkinson, 1997. In order to save your hands and my time, may I suggest for the rest of the group that you applaud only after the entire group is introduced. Several of the members of our Council of Advisors are also present. In addition to Mr. Ruan and Dr. Borlaug and myself, our distinguished colleagues are Mr. Al Clausey, Dr. Gordon Eaton, Mr. Michael Gardner, Professor Pekalenko, and Dr. Lucia Vaccaro. Please stand and please applause. A number of distinguished members of the World Food Prize selection panel are also present in the audience. However, since they serve anonymously, they must remain incognito. I cannot introduce them to you today. You might try to influence next year's selection. We have many distinguished guests in the audience today. Later in the program, His Excellency Ambassador Chandra from India will address you. We're scheduled to have, although I'm not sure he has arrived, His Excellency Dr. Ahmed, the Minister of Economics from the government of Bangladesh. Would you gentlemen please stand? Ambassador Chandra, please stand. One of the most important goals of the World Food Prize is to motivate young people to choose careers in food and agriculture. We make a special effort to reach out to the youth of Iowa through the World Food Prize-sponsored Youth Institute. Now in its 5th year, it continues to grow in importance. This year, over 30 schools will participate. We would like to recognize the student representatives and the faculty advisors who are with us for this ceremony and for the Youth Institute to be held on Saturday. May I ask that entire group to stand? Thank you very much for joining us. The 1998 World Food Prize Symposium will be held tomorrow, and it will focus on the special challenges posed by the need to feed rapidly growing urban populations in megacities around the world. 2 groups of scholars currently studying these and related subjects at Iowa State University are with us today. One is a class of 24 scholars enrolled in a course on urban and regional economics. Their professor is Dr. Maureen Kilkenny. The second is a distinguished group of 11 visiting professors from the People's Republic of China who are enrolled in a joint ISU PRC MBA, Masters of Business Administration program under the direction of Dr. Max Wertman. May I ask the members of both these groups to stand to be recognized, please. I would also like to recognize the special relationship between Iowa State University and the World Food Prize. Among other things, the university serves as the secretariat to the selection committee. I believe President Jischke is with us and a number of ISU faculty members. Would you gentlemen please stand to be recognized? Dr. Jischke, faculty members. I'm sorry, Dr. Jischke, they moved you on me. I thought you were over there somewhere. Anyway, nice to have you with us. Perhaps I should also mention that we have representatives from the World Bank, the FAO, USAID, USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, several U.S. universities, the International Agriculture Research Centers of the CGIAR system, a number of foundations, all the way from Germany and other places around the world, non-governmental organizations, and 10 business leaders from the Ukraine who have joined us for this celebration. Thank you all for the warm welcome you have given to all of them. Finally, let me present a man who really needs no introduction to the Friends of the World Food Prize. Because of his dedication and success in waging the war on hunger and his role as the father of the Green Revolution, he was awarded the 1970 Nobel Peace Prize. This year, we've asked Dr. Borlaug to share a few thoughts with us. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present Dr. Norman E. Borlaug. Norman, please join us. While welcoming Norman, a number of his family have also joined him. His family from Iowa have also joined him for this occasion. He is a native son of Iowa. May I ask Norman's family members to please rise for recognition? I believe they're with us there. Thank you very much. Norman, your words, please.
Thank you, Bob. Welcome to this 12th recognition ceremony for the World Food Prize. It gives me particular gratification to participate in this one because it's a new sector that's being recognized, a private sector seed organization. In the developing world, most of the responsibilities of multiplying the seed, once it leaves the research stations, whether in government research stations or universities, becomes the responsibility of government organizations that generally become very bureaucratized, and that makes it very difficult to move these improved seeds to farmers' fields. The so-called Green Revolution was nearly killed by bad seed that was shipped, didn't germinate, from Mexico to India. And because of many improvisations, it survived. And from that time on, the large shipments in the next 3 years that went to various countries of that wheat seed went through channels produced by farmers' co-ops. Today, we recognize the recipient, Mr. Barwale, who was the founding father of this large and diverse and creative seed company known as the Maharashtra Hybrid Seed Company of India. And I just want to take a second to show you all how some beginning very thin threads come to bear on this particular prize and on the World Food Prize in general. One, the first seed sown in Mexico, the first Foreign Technical Assistance Program began in 1943, and I joined it in 44. And in one way or another have been affiliated with international agriculture ever since. A few years later in India, the hybrid maize program and sorghum programs were initiated by Ernie Sprague and Lee House and Wayne Freeman under the leadership of Ralph Cummings. And they encouraged the formation of a private seed company, one small one, which became this large seed company that we're honoring today. This is a big step forward, and I hope and I believe, since Mr. Barwale is extending this to African countries where we are still with terrible problems on seed distribution, that we will see this impact also come to Africa. Thank you very much, and I want to congratulate Mr. Barwale and his whole family for this outstanding success they have made.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to award the 12th World Food Prize. To residents of Iowa and Des Moines, the generosity of the Ruan family is well known. To those of us associated with the World Food Prize, John Ruan was a godsend. He stepped forward and agreed to become the sponsor of the World Food Prize. His generous endowment of the prize now ensures its continuity. May I ask the members of the Ruan family to please stand to be recognized, and that Mr. John Ruan and John Ruan III join us on the stage, please. Betty, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today as well. Thank you. John, please join us. Please be seated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure that we once again congratulate our laureates and the present remarkable achievements of our 1998 World Food Prize laureate. And now may I call on Mr. John Ruan, please. John.
Thank you. It's truly my pleasure to present our 1998 World Food Prize laureate, Dr. B.R. Parwali.
Mr. Havener, Mr. Ruan, Mr. John Ruan III, Dr. Borlaug, Mr. Naresh Chandra, His Excellency the Ambassador, Government of India, Mr. Herman Kilper, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The World Food Prize is the greatest honor that is bestowed upon a seedsman. I am overwhelmed and I accept this with humility on behalf of my colleagues and those involved in the movement, scientists, administrators, governments, growers, farm workers, and the farmer who use the seed. These all are part of a seed chain. I feel my selection for this award is unique, this being given to a person coming from the private sector. I am pleased with this recognition. The successes achieved are due in no small way to those who have so generously helped me over the years. Among those are the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, the Rockefeller Foundation, and to name a few individuals, the late Dr. Harbhajan Singh Ji, the late Shri Vasantrao Ji Naik, the late Shri H.T. Parikh, the late Mr. Johnson Douglas, the late Shri Rajendra Mishra, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, Professor M.L. Datwala, Dr. Wayne Freeman, and Dr. Lee R. House. I also acknowledge the support I received from my family in achieving these successes. I am grateful to Mr. Ruan and Dr. Borlaug for establishing this award, and to the nominations and the selection committees for choosing me for this honor. A quote from our ancient Hindu scripture Bhagavad Gita says, "Karmanne vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phal hetur burma te sangotsa karmani." To action alone hast thou a right, and never at all to its fruits. Let not the fruits of action be thy motive, neither let there be in thee any attachment to inaction. I drew lessons from this. I have always believed that we must do our duty, irrespective of whether we get credit for it or not. I do realize when such efforts and achievements are appreciated, it provides incentive, encouragement, and enthusiasm in the whole organization. This award also adds an example for the entire community of seedsmen to work with greater devotion and dedication for the objective. Seed is the basic, least expensive but precious agricultural input which delivers all the genetics embedded in it by the researchers for the benefit of larger production. Seed industry, thus, is a vital part of agricultural production. In the early 60s, several significant changes in Indian agricultural policy created the environment and possibilities for the development and growth of a seed industry in the private sector. I was one such individual that had availed of opportunities, circumstances, assistance, and encouragement from many well-wishers. May other countries offer similar opportunities to their citizens. I started as a small seed grower myself and became a seedsman. I saw the task would be gigantic, thus must seek the cooperation of all. The tremendous opportunity and need of involvement of small farmers, and particularly the opportunity of employment to the workers right in their villages. I was thrilled. This employment of large rural populace, and particularly female workers, just for one crop, say hybrid cotton, employment and income generated by these workers created tremendous self-confidence and brought recognition and respectability of their work. This also helped these workers to upgrade themselves from unskilled to highly skilled workers. They do a near perfect job of emasculating and pollinating, which is highly technical. The impact of the industry on rural India has been most favorable. Seed companies, public and private, contact with numerous farmers with small holdings. As an example, in the case of our company, Maharashtra Hybrid Seeds Company Limited, Mahiko, alone, contracts are made each year with 70,000 plus farmers for all crops grown and marketed by Mahiko. Farm income for these farmers subsequently is higher in comparison to the commercial crop they would have otherwise grown. In addition, village female workers are largely benefited during the crop cycle. I remember the first hybrid maize seed production, the first Sonaro 64 wheat multiplication, the first Indian sorghum hybrid seed production, the first pearl millet hybrid seed production, were due to proper guidance and efforts and hard and sincere work of my colleagues. We were able to write the first few pages of history of the Indian seed industry, growing with small farmers, training them to do a job of international standards, adoption of innovative methods to adjust to Indian conditions, to process the seed, and to work for the acceptance of the seed by small farmers through effective demonstrations. From a very small turnover today, Indian seed industry is 100+ enterprises with a turnover of over $920 million, which includes 20 million export. It has established itself on scientific lines and adopted most modern technology. It has also got engaged itself in research, classical as well as biotechnology. India, next to the US, has great potential for growth in seed industry. Being relatively new, it is still growing at the rate of 10–15% annually. In retrospect, those were exciting years, as farmers were enthusiastic about the new and better crops. There were problems too, more than we have time to relate. Suffice it to say, the private sector rose to the challenge, and today, only little more than 30 years later, at least 3/4 of seed of hybrid crops like rice, maize, sorghum, millets, sunflower, cotton, and vegetables are supplied by the private sector, of which there are over 100 private sector companies, several as part of multinational companies, many based here in the US. In the 60s, India was a food deficit country with only 375 million people. Massive imports were necessary in the mid-60s to ward off mass starvation. Today, it is self-sufficient in food grains. Now the population is approaching 1 billion. Land has not increased. Numbers of farmers have not increased, but they are growing much better and more crops. The Indian farmers are today's heroes. True, they have much better seed, much of which the industry supplies. As a consequence, India has food grain reserves to serve as a buffer against a poor monsoon. Indian people need to pause frequently to give thanks to the farmers who have been so successful, feeding so many millions. India's food grains production has increased from 80 million tons in the 60s to nearly 200 million tons now. Just in the last 35 years, seed has played a very important role in this production, along with other factors like irrigation, fertilizers, and other agricultural inputs. As we approach a new century, world agriculture and Indian agriculture will be changing. For India, the change is a challenge of more production to feed more people. With an estimated 1.8% population growth, 3.5 million tons more of food grains are needed annually to meet needs of the additional 16.5 million people. The industry has achieved a level of maturity to be able to meet these challenges through public and private research, much of it linked to similar research in other countries. With these levels of maturity, farmers can rely on recurring seed supplies from these sources year after year. Seed industry is not yet established in several countries of the developing world. Without the development of seed industry, agricultural production is difficult to be increased. This provides a great challenge and opportunity to the global seed industry to be of help to these underdeveloped economies. With the success of our seed program and the impact of the same in the community, we are glad to establish Sri Ganapati Netralaya, a not-for-profit world-class ophthalmic facility in Jalna, Maharashtra, and the Mahiko Research Foundation and Agricultural Research Foundation. In closing again, I would like to thank Mr. Ruan III, Dr. Borlaug, and all those who supported my nomination and the selection committee for bestowing upon me this great honor. I am thrilled, pleased, and very proud to be honored by this award and humbled to be included among the previous recipients, all of whom are giants in their fields. May it serve as an inspiration for still other leaders in the field of food and agriculture in the future. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barwale, for that inspiring message. I now ask the members of the Barwale family to please stand to be recognized. Mrs. Barwale, their children and their grandchildren with us today. May I now call on His Excellency Ambassador Chandra from India to make a few comments. Ambassador Chandra.
Mr. John Ruan, Chairman of the World Food Prize Foundation, Dr. Norman Borlaug, and other members of the Council of Advisors, Mr. Barwale and members of the distinguished Barwale family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed most grateful to the Foundation and its Executive Director, Mr. Kilper, for inviting me here on this happy and auspicious occasion. I feel greatly honored to be given the chance to listen to the music of Vani Jairam, interact with the prize laureates who are present here today, and have a seat next to the great Norman Borlaug himself when I was sitting in the audience. As has been made very clear by speakers before me, agriculture in India is much more than just another sector of the economy. It dominates the very life of India. Despite substantial industrialization over the last 4 decades, 65% of all Indians are still dependent on agriculture. This is one area which we cannot afford to neglect for more than one reason. As has been mentioned, we were around 375 millions when we became independent, and we will enter the 21st century, despite all our efforts to the contrary, 1 billion strong people. This has posed a great challenge to the people who work in the sector of food and agriculture. A mention has been made of the 60s. I must say that at that time I was working as a district official and seeing the conditions in the villages at first hand. As I was mentioning to Dr. Borlaug, and he recalled the same remark having been made to him by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, it was really a ship-to-mouth existence. And it is from that time that we have had a very important and a most valuable program of India-US cooperation. First, in the shape of food grains which came under Public Law 480, and later in the shape of the programs of joint research and development, which were pioneered through the 60s and 70s under the aspiring leadership of Dr. Norman Borlaug. I think it is not only in the area of seeds and hybrid seeds that he has left a lasting impression on India, but his greater contribution has been the inspiration that he has held out for a number of Indian scientists and experts who have performed so well. And I think it is that which accounts for the fact that of the 14 laureates so far who have been conferred the World Food Prize, 4 are Indians. And I really think it's a matter of great pride for all Indians that the work of Indian scientists and experts has been recognized in this fashion. I must thank the sponsors of the prize for the great encouragement and assistance that they have extended. I would also like to mention that having worked in the field, I realize the difficult conditions under which Mr. Barwale must have worked all through these years in not only developing better farm techniques, production of better seeds, but reaching it to the farmers. The obstacles that he must have encountered and the amount of effort it must have taken to persuade all the functionaries and farmers to adopt his system and techniques must have been a tremendous job. And I would like to congratulate him on behalf of the Government of India for the success that he has achieved and for the great national service that he has rendered. The days of October are very auspicious for all Indians. It augurs not only the coming in of the harvest, but the celebration of our national festival, Diwali, which is one festival which is celebrated all over India by all sections of the people, regardless of religion, caste, or creed. It is an occasion when we thank the goddess Lakshmi for all the prosperity that she has blessed us with. And I am very happy that this event is taking place during this season. I would invoke the blessings of goddess Lakshmi upon all of us, our friends and family. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Chandra, for those interesting and appropriate words. May I now call on Vani Jairam to close the 1998 World Food Prize Award celebration. Please.
रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम रघुपति राघव राजा राम पतित पावन सीताराम ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम सबको सन्मति दे भगवान मंदिर मस्जिद गिरजाए पूजा के हैं पाठ अनेक कहता बाइबल वेद पुराण कहता बाइबल वेद पुराण पतित पावन सीताराम Thank you. It's been a great privilege performing for you all this evening. I'm grateful to the World Food Prize Organization for having extended this beautiful invitation to me. And my sincere thanks go to Dr. Barwale and his family for having thought of me, giving me this golden opportunity to sing for you all on this great occasion. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the award ceremony. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you here again next year. Thank you.